What's going on, everybody? All is well. So yesterday, Amazon AWS cloud infrastructure had a bit of a glitch, and a lot of companies were affected. The apps weren't working as they should. We're talking about like Netflix, Hulu, Snapchat, Facebook, Robinhood. You know, Users of those apps were experiencing, technical difficulty, and they let it be known. It sparked a massive outrage. So let's get into this video from CNBC and hear what they got to say.
Outage just a one-off glitch or something investors should actually be concerned about? Let's bring in Rohit Kulkarni, senior analyst at Roth MKM, and David Kennedy, founder and security consultant company Trusted Sec. It's great to have you both on. David, I'm going to start with you because Mac just referenced the fact that experts say this doesn't look like it was a hack. What are your takeaways? What do you think this looks like?
Yeah, it doesn't look like a hack. Amazon has come out and said it's not a hack, but it just shows you how fragile our infrastructure is. When people think of cloud computing, whether you're using Google, Twitter, Facebook, or other online services, banking, a lot of that sits in other people's infrastructure, and small changes can cause these types of massive interruptions. And we had a massive outlet outage 2 years ago at Amazon as well. So Amazon is kind of accustomed to this, and they're supposed to be super high reliable, super high efficiencies. But something like a small DNS change, causing these massive outages goes to show you how fragile this infrastructure really can be, and the vulnerabilities that we actually have to our, actual online presence for things that we use every day for services.
Rohit, just if history is any indicator, the massive outage 2 years ago, what was the fallout for both customers of Amazon and for investors?
Hey, thanks. I think the most direct fallout, or the next question that most of the enterprises will start to think
His
is,
mic is low.
do we need to hedge
Either
our
that or
bets? Do we need to diversify our IT
the
eggs
microphone's too
across multiple
far away
baskets?
from him.
That's the first question that comes to mind. And then the next steps become, is it possible? Is it feasible? Is it economically viable? So on and so forth. I think that's the mild yellow flag from this outage. Of course, Amazon has reduced the number of outages over the years. The duration, the severity of those outages is smaller. On the other hand, I would say that outages at Microsoft have been slightly longer in duration. But still, I think at the end of the day, all these companies learn and self-learn so quickly that the next outage is much smaller, less severe, and so on and so forth. But I think, not to digress, but I think when it comes to AI cloud versus internet cloud, the big question in investors' mind is Amazon positioned to succeed, or are they losing share in the AI cloud? And such an event gives a pause in investors' mind as to where is
True.
the company positioned in the next 12, 24, 36 months on.
Yeah, because Amazon owns take up majority of the cloud infrastructure space right now. Keep in mind they're in competition with Oracle. They're in competition with Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud. So we'll see if in the upcoming years if they do maintain dominance in the cloud computing space, or we have another competitor of theirs step up and take over more market share. But in my opinion, I do believe their competition is going to catch up with them and start to close that gap and just take up a lot more market share. So yeah, but I do agree with what he's saying. I think companies gonna learn from these glitches, and they're gonna improve upon it. But we shall see. Cause keep in mind, OpenAI, they couldn't deals with AMD, NVIDIA, and the infrastructure is gonna continue to grow and expand. So we'll see how it holds up down the road. But ultimately, I do believe bugs and glitches, they're gonna happen from time to time. It's just how severe will they be when they do happen.
The AI cloud as such.
And David, to go back to the point you just made, I mean, this sort of gets at the heart of securing critical infrastructure. And when Amazon claims more than a third of the cloud market, it's certainly critical infrastructure. As that infrastructure does become more sophisticated, particularly in the age of AI, what needs to continue to happen to secure it?
Yeah, more reliability in these infrastructures for fallback. Normally when you look at outages, they have load balancers and other operational systems that can kick over in case there are outages like this. In this case specifically, you saw the massive data center, one of its largest, have a massive shortfall where that didn't happen. So hopefully Amazon's looking at this and saying, hey, can we roll over to another location or another data center so that we don't see these massive outages? I mean, everything from Coinbase for crypto transactions to financial
Coinbase
institutions to government
down.
installations, all down during these periods of time. And what we've actually seen over the past 10 years is that, most companies had what was considered on-premise. So they had their own infrastructure, their own web applications that they housed in their own internal infrastructure. So if one of them went down, it wouldn't be as massive as you see here. But with the cloud movement, everybody's leveraging these large data centers like, Azure, for example, AWS, GCP, Google, to run their infrastructures. And when they have one outage, causes this massive effect that you see with all of these different companies being impacted. So to the previously commented statement around diversity around applications being able.
Oh yeah, I remember with CrowdStrike, they had a glitch about 2 years ago, and their stock plummeted. I mean, I believe it was around like $400, $500 a share, and that thing dropped all the way to like the low 200s. But ultimately, as you can see, it ultimately recovered. But that glitch was massive, and it affected a lot of the airports, and it was bad.
Able to move from, if AWS has an issue, can you fail over to Microsoft, or can you fail over to Google? So you're not seeing these massive outages. These are things that companies need to weigh out to ensure that they don't have a massive impact to their business and organization.
Yep, you see, AWS 30%, followed by Google, Microsoft Azure. Then got Google, Alibaba is in on it as well, Oracle, and they got other companies, small companies that are in the cloud computing space.
So Rohit, along those lines, what would you be investing in right now if you are talking about a diversification of cloud infrastructure and beneficiaries?
Look, I think when it comes to transitions from internet cloud to AI cloud, I think Google is doing probably one of the best kind of executions in the last 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, Google is one of those companies. Don't sleep on them. They don't like run up like crazy, like a Nvidia. I'm talking about like a stock. The way in the way it moves. It doesn't run up like crazy, but it'll creep up on you. It's one of those companies. It could be like trading sideways for most of the year, and then out of nowhere, it'll start to gain momentum as the weeks go on, and next thing you know, it's up at all-time highs. Same thing with Apple. That's another company. Don't sleep on those companies. Those slow moving companies look like they're not doing too much, and next thing you know, boom, they just started to climb and climb and climb up.
They're verticalizing their cloud infrastructure with their own in-house silicon.
I wish
the
you turn up the
TPUs.
volume
I
on
think,
this mic.
as compared to Amazon and Microsoft, I think Google is very well positioned to gain share from being a number 3 player to possibly being a very close number 2 player in
Yeah,
this very
yeah. I
fast
think
growing.
overall, like I said, in the long run, Google, Microsoft, they're gonna take up more shares in the cloud computing space.
Market.
David, overall, your outlook for this cybersecurity and critical infrastructure security market right now, especially as it does seem that it's not just hacks that can take infrastructure down, and maybe people need to be thinking about it a little bit more holistically.
Yeah, if you look at the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, they're tasked with protecting critical infrastructure, but over 85% of our critical infrastructure is private sector owned, so owned by private corporations. And a lot of times these are, antiquated systems. So think of, our power grid, our water treatment facilities, everything from that to our financial infrastructure, using very, very legacy type systems. And so, we're seeing a big movement where they're trying to converge what's called IT and OT, their critical infrastructure, into more technologically advanced areas. And that does come with its pose of risks. Obviously with AWS, having a massive outage, with the CrowdStrike one from last year, AWS 2 years ago. You've seen a ton with Microsoft as well. These are things that need to have redundant systems so that we can ensure, appropriate, energy through the United States, appropriate water, throughout the United States and other areas, utilities that are really important. These have to be baked into what these energy folks or what the critical infrastructure folks are leveraging every single day and with their plans.
Yeah, I agree. But overall, like I said, these companies gonna continue to improve upon it, and they're gonna get better and better at minimizing the disruption caused by these bugs and glitches. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, you guys be safe and enjoy the rest of your day. All right, peace.